When you think about technology, you think about Boston Corridor, you might think about Silicon Valley, even Austin, Texas. We're here today to talk about Southwest Indiana and this amazing company called Ciholas. Come on in and we'll tell you more. I'm with Mike Ciholas, with Ciholas, the company, the technology company based here in Indiana's Great Southwest. So, Mike, tell me a little bit about what is Ciholas?
Ciholas is a contract engineering firm, and what that means is we do things for clients. We provide technology to them. Technology is a confusing and complex subject. People don't know what technology can and can't do, and we provide the engineering staff that allows modern technology to be added to other people's business. So our typical client is another business that is involved in some industry, and they need to use technology, and it's hard for them to use that technology with their own staff. Then they hire us to do contract engineering. And so basically we invent things for people.
So you, in terms of, you have a lot of engineers on staff here, and you're helping those companies maybe have an idea, a concept, and then you're helping them put it into practice?
Yes, well, even more than that, we have their problems. So they have some sort of issue that they need to solve, and they think technology will solve it. And they don't necessarily know how the technology will solve it. And so they can come and describe their problems to us, and then we can invent an idea for them. Sometimes they come with their own ideas, and sometimes those are good, and sometimes they're not. And then we can invent another idea that might be better for them. And then we can realize that idea. We can make it real. We can make it work for them. And very often the client doesn't believe they can do something, and we can enable them to do something they didn't think they could do.
So you started when? When did you start here?
When the company really started was in the mid-90s, when I was a one-man consulting company, and I was doing this as my full-time avocation. I would come and work for people as a one-man consulting company. And then starting in about 1999, I hired my first employee, and then I hired my second, and then we moved into a bigger facility, and we hired more employees, and then moved into a bigger facility, and you run that up to present day. Now we're in this 35,000 square foot facility with 40 engineers.
Which is a pretty amazing, and most of those engineers are, a lot of them come from the University of Evansville, the University of Southern Indiana, or individuals who might have gone off to school but decided to come back?
Yeah, most of our staff has some sort of local connection. Either they grew up here, or they have family here, or they came to school here. And so we are cultivating the local connections. University of Evansville is by far our strongest path. So we have about 23 engineers from the University of Evansville. We have a few from USI. That's a growing number now. We have people from Purdue, Rose-Hulman, and so forth.
Well, and so the kind of things that you do here, what can you I know there's a lot of things you can't tell us. What can you tell us about the kind of technology that you do?
Well, it's typically fairly sophisticated electronic devices that involve software, electronics, usually has some sort of wireless component because wireless is a big deal in modern times. Radios, sensors, high speed. It's technology that's usually not very common. We're inventing something new, and that creates a lot of patents for my clients. We have a whole wall full of patents that go along with this. And we will show you some examples of things we have invented that we can discuss. As you say, most of our projects are confidential.
Sure.
Some of our clients consider it secret that we even work for them because they won't want the fact that we do things for the client to
Sure.
get out because we're kind of their secret. But we've done things that have flown in space. We have done things that have tracked coal miners underground. We've done things in sports timing. For example, all of Usain Bolt's current world records were timed on equipment invented and developed here.
Wow, that's pretty amazing, right here in Southwest Indiana. So one of the other really interesting things you're working on is the Museum of the Bible project, and part of that technology, your technology, is used in that facility. How so? Can you tell us about it?
The Museum of the Bible is a 430,000 square foot facility in Washington, D.C. It's 2 blocks south of the Smithsonian Air and Space, and it's a museum dedicated to the history of the Bible. The museum has 7 floors. Each floor has a different sort of focus. My particular favorite floor is floor 4, which is the actual history of the Bible itself. But floor 2, for example, is the cultural impact of the Bible. In that museum, they decided very specifically to use very advanced technology to tell the stories that they wanted to tell. The technology that they got from us was something called ultra-wideband tracking. Ultra-wideband tracking, in the simplest terms, is an indoor GPS system that's highly accurate to within a few inches. And they provide devices to the visitors called digital guides. It's a tablet device that you carry around. And we provided the technology that's inside the tablet that will track where the tablet is and what way it's facing inside the entire museum.
I can imagine that this technology would have other kinds of applications, not just for the museum, but can you talk about some of the things that this technology allows you to do?
Yeah, Ciholas is a world leader in developing ultra-wideband tracking technology, and we have several patents and several devices related to it. And we have found applications throughout the world related to tracking athletes, tracking equipment and supplies in factories, tracking machinery, providing proximity around machinery so it doesn't run over people, providing safety interlocks on equipment. We've tracked horses, we've tracked dogs.
We've tracked horses?
Yes.
Okay, but animals, you could track animals then in a way?
Yes. We even track things like basketballs or footballs, track sports equipment.
So you're looking at the trajectory of, let's say, of a football as you're throwing it, and you're analyzing as maybe a quarterback or as a running back or as a receiver. You be able to tell how that's actually how they're interacting with the equipment.
As you may know, sports analytics is a very big and growing field, and so collecting the data off of the athletes and off the sports equipment provides that additional analysis that you can do. You know, what is the spin rate of a pass that a quarterback's throws? What is his velocity? What is his acceleration? How fast does a running back respond or cut? Those kinds of things can be collected from the information from tracking them using this ultra-wideband system.
That's pretty amazing in itself. Well, you're doing this amazing stuff around the world, but from a location here in Ward County, Indiana's Great Southwest. I mean, what makes this region being attractive to you?
Well, the first thing is my wife got a job here, so we moved here.
That always helps.
That always helps. And as a one-man consulting company, I could do my work anywhere. So wherever she needed to go for her job was the first reason we're here. But after we got here, then we found that the benefits of this region are fantastic. It's very centrally located in the U.S., which makes travel for me easy to go to my clients. And we work nationwide and globally. It's got a very reasonable climate. It has a very reasonable cost of living. Has very good people, low crime. Access to local resources is very good. So we're kind of instead of sort of the Silicon Valley, we're kind of the Silicon Prairie, you know, of
Sure.
Southwest Indiana. And we're bringing high technology to this area, which helps a lot with the brain drain problem that sometimes areas like this have. You have whatever local talent there is seeks the coast and the other areas where they can get higher paying jobs. And here we can keep those people employed in a region that they'd like to stay.
Because of specifically what you're doing. So do you find that you talk about you have students from engineering students from the University of Evansville, the University of Southern Indiana, Purdue, Rose-Hulman, I mean, great universities. Do you find sometimes it's more of a challenge to attract talent in here, or you're growing your own?
Well, we take students basically with a bachelor's degree, sort of fresh out of school. So a majority of our staff are relatively young, relatively inexperienced engineers. And we invest in them a certain amount of time to get them up to professional standards and so forth. So we're not looking necessarily to hire, you know, sort of ready to go experts from the outside. We're kind of cultivating the local talent that way. And the local universities do a fantastic job. And the University of Evansville, USI, Purdue, they all do a very good job of turning out really qualified candidates that have a lot of capability. And we're providing an option for those candidates to stay in Southwest Indiana and continue to do a high-tech things here while living in this area.
Because obviously what you do is incredibly high-tech. So what does the future hold for Ciholas in your company?
The future for Ciholas is very bright. We are working globally and working with companies all over the world to take some of the technology we're inventing here and distribute it. Whereas we started as mostly a contract engineering firm working on other people's devices, we've also started inventing things here on our own and licensing that to other companies around the world. And that part of the business is going to grow and eventually become the dominant part of the business. And that will allow us to grow at a faster rate, generate more revenue, and have more impact in the world.
Well, I want to thank Mike Ciholas for being here, and stay tuned for the kinds of technologies you're going to see coming out of Indiana's Great Southwest.